it's Romania Black, and we are on episode 5 of Cherry Magic. Oh, every episode has been so good so far. Every episode has been just amazing, and I've enjoyed it so much, and I get excited every week to be like, okay, what's going to happen next? So, last episode, if you all recall, it might have been a while, but Adachi got sick because of a misunderstanding. We now know that Kurosawa's girlfriend is actually his sister who's been spending the night with him. But she is like, you know what? Adachi, you're feeling under the weather. I think I know what the doctor has ordered, and that is for Kurosawa to stay with you. Girl is playing matchmaker, getting these two guys together, being like, oh, what could happen? And girl, she is doing the Lord's work. Or maybe not. Who knows how this is going to go? But Kurosawa has decided he's going to stay at Adachi's and help him get better. So we'll see where that takes us. But I'm super excited to find out. I do have a comment that is from Anime Annie. Anime Annie for episode 3. It says, the song that Rokkaku sings, and a couple people actually pointed this out, but I noted Anime Annie's post. The song Rokkaku sings at the karaoke is actually his rendition of the ending song. I've heard Shirai Yusuke sing a few different songs, and yet, with voicing Rokkaku, he sings a bit more enthusiastically, which is fitting for the energy he gives in this episode, and slightly nasally. Truly amazing for Seiyu to be so talented to be able to sing in the same voice they use for a character. Yeah, I am constantly blown away by Japanese voice actors because I have watched several anime now and I've seen the range of some voice actors. And then for some voice actors to be able to sing, and this isn't just Japanese voice actors only, I've seen other voice actors across multiple languages do this, but to be able to be in character and sing in that character, even if it's different than your natural voice, is crazy. It's awesome. Also, while Rokkaku sings the ending, Kurosawa sings the opening for our anime as his karaoke song. That's a really fun way to do it because then you don't have to worry about copyright. You're just using the OP and the ED. And plus, it's cute because it's Kurosawa singing the OP to Adachi, who's just like, what? What are you singing the karaoke showing off your voice for? And it's like, he's doing it for you. Ibaka. When I was first watching, I did have to look up what shiratama is and why Kurosawa would describe Adachi's tummy like that. Basically, they're a kind of sweet dumpling that's almost like mochi. And we talked about that whole sauna scene of epicness in the episodes prior. Shirai Yusuke, who is Rokkaku sensei, or Seiyu, sounds very different here in comparison to when he voices Sasaki from Sasaki and Miyano. Oh, I honestly, Rokkaku does not sound anything like Sasaki, so that's a good, clever camouflaging of the voice. Interesting bit of coincidence, though, with Sasaki and Miyano being your last BL outside of Janyu Yaoi and Danmai. Right? I thought Given was my last, and I was like, oh, Sasaki Miyano. I mean, they need to, if there's a series they need to do a season 2 for, I mean, they need to do that one. Also, Fujisaki, the female secretary, is voiced by Koshimizu Ami, who is also the seiyuu for Pyron from Apothecary Diaries, which is cool. Minami, which is one of Kaido's older sisters from Sarune. Sirius from Boku no My Hero Academia. Koyu from Bungo Stray Dogs, which I'm like, Koyu? She played Koyu? Really? And then Callan from Code Geass. Yuri from Death Note, and the Mother Spider Demon from Demon Slayer. Girl has a resume. I like that she's been like a spider demon, and she's like, I'm just a secretary in this anime. The range! Girl, I love it. And she was Callan from Go Geass. I'm like, girl, you got some range for sure. I thought that was pretty awesome, so thank you, Anime Annie, for pointing that out. And then everybody else's comments have been so much fun. I've been having so much fun reading them. I'm like, yes, I am 100% agreeing with you all about this series. I love it so much. And every week I just look forward to the new episode. So I guess we'll see what we're going to get this week in this episode. So anyway, we're on episode 5. So we're not even halfway, which is so great to me. I love that we're not even halfway through. I'm like, that's the best feeling when you still have a ways to go. But anyway, we're not going to waste any more time. We are going to dive into episode 5 of Cherry Magic and see how this house call to the doctor goes. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, one, and I'll see you all on the other side. Oh my god. Okay. All right. I'm so glad in this episode with Fujisaki, who is the secretary. I am so glad that we at least have, from her perspective, we have that she is not interested in Adachi. Because when I thought for a hot second we were going that direction, and I was like, oh no, she's gonna like him, and then he's gonna have to be like, well, do I like her or do I like? Because his whole thing, this whole series has been, well, if a girl liked me, I don't think I'd be interested in Kurosawa and my problems would be solved. And now he thinks that she likes him, but she's one of us. She's one of us. She just wants to get them together and write dirty smut fan fiction about it. Which I'm really glad about. My whole thing is, I don't think that it's going to go the route that I've seen. Like what I was afraid of would be that she would like him, he would pursue it, and be like, oh, well, a girl likes me. So he does ask a very valid question, which is, do I like Kurosawa, or am I just attracted to the notion of someone liking me? And there's a very big difference in those two things, whether you just are wanting someone to be affectionate towards you or if you actually like that person. And that is a very big difference. And I'm glad the series is letting Adachi kind of explore that, because that needs to be known. Are you okay with that? Now, here's the thing. This series reminds me, Adachi himself reminds me a lot of, this is a Zaraya Ranmaru series that I've reviewed on Janu Yaoi, which is called Liquor and Cigarettes. And in that story, you have Teo and Camillo, who are two characters that kind of have a similar situation like Adachi and Kurosawa, where Camillo really likes Teo, like Kurosawa really likes Adachi, and both Teo and Adachi are kind of like, well, am I gay? Do I like him, or do I just like want affection? Like they're both kind of, they go about it in different ways, so there is a little bit of difference there, but the point is that both Teo and Adachi have to figure out, like, am I attracted to this man? What do I do about that? And so they both kind of go. So Adachi's situation kind of reminds me of Teo, and in Liquor and Cigarettes, you know, not to spoil too much, but Teo kind of has to realize, like, oh, how do I feel about the idea of Kameo being with someone else? That's what it ends up leading to, is that Adachi is like, well, I'm not exactly sure about my sexuality, but I feel like it's going to get to the point where Adachi has to realize, am I going to be okay with letting Kurosawa go and be with someone else? Or am I going to be like, no, I want to be with him? And that's going to send him into the point of realizing that, yes, I am gay, or at least bisexual, and I like Kurosawa, which I could see Adachi being bisexual. I could see it because he does seem to think Fujisaki's cute. He does seem like there is some attraction there that's genuine. So if he was bisexual, I could totally get into it. But I also wonder if he's like trying to tell himself that he likes her just because that's the societal norm, and he's trying to be like, well, I'm into the societal norm. I'm totally in the societal norm, when the reality is he likes Kurosawa. So I feel like the one thing that I'm afraid of is that Adachi is going to make the mistake that I've seen some other BL series make. And not that it's a mistake, but it's something that happens in it, where the main character is like, I'm actually into this girl because that's a societal norm, and I'm totally straight. It's fine. And I don't want Adachi to break Kurosawa's heart, is what I don't want. Because Kurosawa genuinely loves him, has openly confessed, put his heart out there in the palm of his hand saying, here you go. And I feel like Adachi feels a little bit guilty about it, because Adachi knew he liked him before he confessed because of his ability. But I don't want Adachi to break his heart. And I'm afraid we're only 5 episodes in, and I'm like, is this series going to make Adachi break his heart and then they make back up? Because I don't want to go through the heartbreak moments, the angst. I'm not an angst person. Some of you are like just lapping it up off the floor with your tongues like, yes, delicious, sweet angst. And I'm like, I just want them to like be happy. The angst is just like, but you know it's going to happen in some regards. So what can we do about it? Yeah, starting right with the OP. How dare this episode? How dare it? It knew exactly what it was doing. Anyway, so Kurosawa is a good guy. He really is. And man, our poor man, he has a lot of restraint and a lot of power because he is strong. And not just strong in terms of his grip. He is strong because he wants to be with Adachi so damn bad. But he is a gentleman to the point where he's like, I can go somewhere else. It's fine. I don't have to stay here. He does a lot in this episode of trying to hold himself back. And in other BL series, he might not have. So I got to give a Kurosawa a lot of credit because, like, the moment they go in, like, when they're on the bed and he's towering over him, the thing about it is, there's a part of Adachi that I think would have been okay with it. The thing is, I think Adachi would have been fine with Kurosawa in the end if he'd made a move. I think Adachi would have had a panic moment, but I don't think it was that Adachi didn't want it. I think he wants it. He just hasn't fully come to terms with that. But I'm glad that Kurosawa didn't force himself upon him. Instead, I like these, he's like, we're so close. We're on his bed, his eyes are teary, and his skin is pink and sweaty. And I love that Kurosawa's thinking, like, oh, he's all flushed and everything. And Adachi's like, that's my cold. He's not fully there. He's not fully ready for Kurosawa to, make a move yet. And he's like, I can't hold back anymore. And I love that Reason punches him and he's like, you're an idiot. What kind of jerk forces himself on a sick person? And he's like, get real. I'm glad they finally said it because that has been the one BL trope that I'm like, whenever, especially early on in a relationship, I've seen it with, I could count on my hand how many different series I've seen it with, but I've read a lot of BL where the character gets sick and the character that likes him is like, oh, this is my opportunity to sneak a kiss non-consensually because he's sick and he can't fight back. And I'm like, if I was sick, the last thing I'd want to do is make out with someone. So yeah, there's probably a reason why I don't want to do that. So I'm glad that this series kind of opened up with the whole Reason angle and was like, look, and I know part of BL is that there is a fantasy element there, but considering how realistic this series is, I'm glad that Kurosawa's like, I need to be considerate of Adachi's health. And he's like, you should get some sleep. And then he lets him go. And the whole time, Adachi has been privy to all those thoughts that he has in his head. And he's like, in some ways, I'm amazed by him. Yeah, he holds back a lot. And the fact that he stood by his bedside and got him cold compresses in the water and fell asleep like that, he cares so much about Adachi. And in this episode, it's so clear. And I'm like, the last thing, I don't want Adachi to break his heart. I don't want that to happen. And I'm like, show, are you going to give me angst with him breaking his heart? Are you going to do that? I don't want that. I mean, maybe Adachi will try to explore more into how Fujisaki feels about him. And then he'll figure out that she doesn't actually like him. She just views them as a couple. But maybe Kurosawa will get the wrong impression and be like, oh, you don't like me, you like her. And that will put the ball into Adachi's court to say yes, I do, or no, I like you. Maybe it'll go that route. I can only hope it'll go that route. It'd be the one time I would be okay with miscommunication is if it keeps Kurosawa's heart from being completely broken by Adachi. But, I don't know. But anyway, whenever Adachi is like, this is the one time I've been taken care of when I was sick that wasn't my family, I'm like, well, he could be your family. His sister seems pretty adamant to make him part of your family. It makes me realize he must really like me. I'm like, honestly, he's like, didn't he imagine something like this? And I didn't realize, again, that Adachi could see that vision of him, fantasizing about him. My one thing with Adachi, and I get it. I get that Adachi is trying to figure out his sexuality. He's trying to come to grips with how he feels about Kurosawa, and I don't want to disrespect that. But if I knew somebody like that liked me, I feel like I'd kind of jump on it. But I know, but then again, Adachi has to question his sexuality and how he feels because this is a pretty big decision. And it's like, I love that he's trying to make sure that he, agrees. Because if you think about it, Kurosawa has opened up his heart to Adachi and been like, this is my heart and soul and I'm bearing it to you. And I do like that Adachi wants to respect that and be like, I don't want to accept your love unless I can give you a genuine and honest response. And right now he's like, I don't have a genuine and honest response. So I need to think about that just a wee bit more. So I'm like, I respect that. I'm like, okay, that's fair. That's fine. Just like, this show is going to wring my heart out, isn't it? And then he's like, I don't mind if I catch a cold, and holds his hand. Oh my God. Adachi, you baka. I'm like, this man is right there, and then like pulls him to him. Ugh. Anyway, so they're on the train together, and I'm like, Adachi, you clearly like this man. You know how the train ride is better than normal when you have some positive like person standing over you to keep the negative thoughts away. Like, ugh. And he's like, seems so happy in that moment. And he's like, I really like your voice. And he's like, and yeah, because he says all the negative voices go away. And he's like, you just have a really nice voice. And Kurosawa's like, oh, okay. And then you have Rokkaku, who from a distance is like, oh, they're like that. So I feel like Rokkaku is not gay, but is very much like, oh, good for them. Didn't know. Oh, okay. Cool. I really kind of, based on the OP now, I kind of want Rokkaku and Fujisaka to get together. I kind of do. Unless she's with another lady off in the distance and we don't know about her yet. But yeah, if Rokkaku ends up being the wingman that gets them together and like tells Adachi being like, you clearly like this guy, what are you doing? More power to Rokkaku. I want him to have that role in this, right? I like him being kind of a buffer in all of this. Also, Fujisaki, when she's trying to get the TV to work, girl, been there. I've had to use like the computer screen like that are giant like that in presentations, and getting that HMI cord to plug up is sometimes hard. But yeah, she's like, thanks. He's like, oh, no problem. Meanwhile, all these girls are fawning over Kurosawa, who's just waiting on Adachi. But he was looking up recipes of like udon and like easy stomach digestion, like soup for beginning cooks that's easy on the stomach. Like he was looking up things to help make him feel better. I'm like, Adachi is literally taking care of you, sir. Like, Adachi, don't screw this up, Adachi. Don't do that. He's like, I love these girls are like, I wish somebody would wait for me. And he's like, he's waiting for me. I'm like, why are you sad? Why are you mad about it? This man loves you. Accept his love. Because he says he's fond of him. She's like, I need time to think things over, like a week or even a day. So maybe by the end of this, now that Kurosawa has confessed, and Adachi's like, I need to think it through, maybe he'll take some time and talk to Suge, talk to Fujisaki, and figure out if she actually likes him or not. You know, get some things in order, do some soul searching. I like that Rokkaku gets his name wrong the entire episode, which is really funny. He's like, you guys sure are close, huh? He's like, and then Kurosawa's like, yes, we're very close. I love that Kurosawa is jealous of Rokkaku, who is probably not into Adachi at all. At all. It seems like Rokkaku is just concerned about his own dance career and his own like dreams dying. He is not interested in Adachi at all. He is a red herring, sir. I don't think you have to worry about Rokkaku at all. He may end up being the one to save your relationship, if anything. But he's like, oh wow, really? That sounds like fun. And he's like, Adachi's still getting over a cold. And he's like, sure, you can come hang out. Poor Kurosawa. Poor Kurosawa. Kurosawa's like, I'm looking up recipes to make you soup, and you're inviting this third wheel over? Which, honestly, in all reality, I like Rokkaku as a buffer, because Rokkaku doesn't have any feelings for Adachi. It's very strictly broship platonic, and Kurosawa is easily jealous and doesn't realize that. I feel like Kurosawa will have a different kind of jealousy towards Fujisaki, because I feel like with Fujiyoshi or Fujisaki, however you say her name, I feel like that's going to feel more real and threatening. Whereas Rokkaku is just kind of like a fun, like, oh, shoo. Whereas she could be a legitimate threat if she did like him. And so I feel like his handling of that might be totally different. So yeah, Fujisaki. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, also the fact that they can make these little takoyaki like at home. There's a series, Jujutsu Kaisen, that I've watched that in season 2, one of the villainous characters, kind of sleazy a little bit, he like eats takoyaki like it's nobody's business. And now knowing that it's like kind of a cheap snacky food, I'm like, now that makes more sense. It's like the Madeleines from Psychopaths are in this series, and the takoyaki from Jujutsu Kaisen have made an appearance. Every anime food is going to show up in this series. So yeah, and we don't see Kurosawa's face through most of this. He's just like insanely jealous, and he's like, I'll just make the next batch here. Here's the special kind. He's like, what's in this sauce? Do you put cheese in them? It's like, you're such a good cook. Kurosawa's like, I know. Now back off. He's like, there was tension before because Kurosawa was jealous of Rokkaku. But now they're just friends. And then he touches Kurosawa's hand. It's like, no, they're not just friends. He's like, you are not ready to try to win over Adachi with food. I almost want to make that the thumbnail, the flames, because it's like, oh my God. Like, just a Kurosawa's jealousy is pretty crazy. And Rokkaku's like the least threatening to them. So then he brings out the hot sauce. He's like, one of the takoyaki we're cooking right now is a takoyaki of death. And he's like, did you do that while we weren't watching? He's like, well, you said you were tired of them, Anzai-san. I like that Kurosawa doesn't correct him. He just lets him go. And he's like, don't play with food, especially if it's my boyfriend's. He's like, no. He's like, well, Kurosawa doesn't seem to mind, but Kurosawa actually doesn't like spicy food at all. So the funny part about this was, again, we've established Kurosawa is human. He is not a knight in shining armor. He's not perfect. He has moments where his restraint is tested. And at first, Adachi's like, oh, well, he's such a dashing rogue, making sure he's like, he doesn't want to look lame in front of me, but he doesn't want me to eat the spicy foods. He's like, that's so sweet of him. But then he's like, well, he'll do it for my sake. That's so sweet. He's like, I'll read Rokkaku's mind so Kurosawa doesn't pick the death takoyaki. But just as he's about to do that, then he also like nudges Kurosawa again. And he's like, but he says, it would be, I kind of want to see Adachi get teary because he ate something spicy. So Adachi was not about to be played. So right as he was like, my knight in shining armor, he's saving me, doing this for me. I'll help him out, make sure he doesn't eat the spicy takoyaki of death. Right as he's about to do that, Kurosawa's desire takes over, and he's like, but I could fantasize about Adachi getting all teary-eyed from the spices. And Adachi's like, I am not about to be played, sir. And he's like, you know what? You eat the spicy one. And then he's dead. Adachi has a sassy side, and I love when his eyes just go totally black, and he's like, that's what you get. You did this to yourself. He's like, you get the death takoyaki. Like, suffer for your sins. Oh, that was great. I love it. He's like, it won't kill him. He's fine. I love it. That's why they're so good for each other, because like Adachi is not swayed by Kurosawa just because he's a handsome face. He's like, no, you're going to pay for your sins. Like any of the girls that are fawning over him at the workplace would not do that to him. So then Rokkaku reveals that he was a dancer. And he's like, I did a dance club in college, and we would have barbecues and go to the beach together. And he's like, I enjoyed my youth. And he's like, well, do you dance anymore? He's like, well, I got a job, and I was never that good. The best guy from my year is still dancing, but he's got a part-time job, so it's tough. And I was like, oh. Because at first I was like, well, I just thought it was a random nobody. We'd never find out. He's like, I'm a realist. And so then he gets the cans, and that's when he sees him saying, yeah, right. I still dream about it sometimes. Okay, so there we go. Yes, that's the guy. The guy that's in his dance club is the guy that has been the delivery man to Suge. They tried to hide it with the hat, but that blonde hair, that earring, it's him. So that's the great thing about BL is they find a way to converge all storylines, because if they do a spinoff, they want to have it to connect, right? So I always think of like Love Nest, Engage, Change World, like those series are all connected, and each one of them focus on a side couple. So you have like here Adachi and Kurosawa, we could also focus on the Suge and the delivery man, who is connected through Adachi, not only through Adachi knowing Suge, but also because Adachi's coworker Rokkaku knows the delivery guy. So, 'tis the question. Also, these bros look, I don't know, pretty broy. I'd say delivery man looks the least broy of them, but yeah, these street dancers, I'm like, okay, I want to see how that connects. I want to see that connection. He's like, I'm still not over it. It's so lame. And I like that she's like, hey, you should just pursue it. Even if it's a hobby, you should just go dance sometimes. I wonder if he's going to get in touch with his friend. I wonder if Rokkaku is going to be able to, I wonder if Rokkaku and the friend who's the intern and Suge are going to form a network to be sending information back and forth about Adachi and Kurosawa. They're going to form a support team when these two bakas eventually make each other sad in Angst Town later in this series, because you know it's coming. You know what's going to have to happen. We're only on episode 5 and we've already got the confession. Adachi is not going to realize his love for Kurosawa next week and then us have the whole half of a season. That's probably not going to happen. So this show's going to make me suffer. How dare it? So yes, he's like, something about this place is so relaxing. I think it's honestly just Adachi. And the thing is, Adachi gives himself such a hard time, but he really is a relaxing and kind presence. He just does not give himself credit, which I'm like, Adachi, you totally should. And then that scene at the sink, as soon as Kurosawa came up to that sink, I'm like, he's going to get right behind Adachi. It's going to be like a Patrick Swayze ghost moment. It was. It absolutely was. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. He's like, oh, he's a big deal. It's fine. He danced in college. Yeah, I love that. He's like, apparently he danced in college. He seems like the type. He competed in tournaments. Isn't that amazing? I never did anything like that. And I kind of get where Kurosawa is coming from, is that especially once Adachi says, I thought he was a shallow playboy, but he seems kind of cute to me now. The moment he said cute to me now, it was like the red alert alarms of jealousy in Kurosawa's head were going off. And I get to the extent where Kurosawa's like, you don't compliment me. You don't talk about me. It's like, I love you, and you don't say anything back to me. But again, that is the weird and twisted and messed up thing about loving someone, is that if you can just talk casually about someone all day long and you don't care about them, it's like, yeah, they're a great person. How amazing. But the person you like, the moment you start talking them up, it starts to make that situation more concrete and more real. And then you're like, oh shit, I really do like them, and now I need to act on it. So the fact that, and I don't blame Adachi in a sense that he feels kind of guilty for reading Kurosawa's thoughts. And he's like, but what if I hadn't read his thoughts? Would I have thought the same thing about him? I probably wouldn't have. So it's, you get the guilt that he's feeling, but at the same time, you're like, okay, Adachi, well, talk it out, do something. Communication. I want to bash all these BL characters upside the head with communication degrees and be like, look. Also, I like the new midway intermission card is Kurosawa catching Adachi in a hug. Super, super cute. But yeah. And I like that Adachi is like, I'm not jealous. He knows that Kurosawa is jealous of Rokkaku, and he's like, I'm not into Rokkaku, you know, but he can't tell Kurosawa that, because then he'd reveal that he knows his thoughts. And how do you explain that? But the moment that Kurosawa like held him down by the wrist and everything, he's like, I'm handier than him. I'm not a playboy, and I'm nice. And then he holds his arm. I'm the only one he should be looking at. And on the one hand, you get where Kurosawa's frustration is coming from, because he's like, I'm doing everything right. Why doesn't he like me? Why isn't he doing it back? Why isn't he letting me go? But in the same vein, he does force himself a little bit, and Adachi is a little bit of like a cat. You gotta let him come to you, right? You gotta let him come to you. But the moment he like held his wrist, I'm sure Adachi was both thinking, this man is strong, but also this man is a man. So I've got to come to terms with that. But also, he's real. He's tangible. I can feel him. He's actually here for a relationship. He's right in front of me. What do I do about it? But also, he could probably do some things in bed. So we need to talk about that too. So I appreciate Adachi trying to go through some things and realize about himself. But Kurosawa does deserve the right to get direct communication from him, especially when Adachi is trying to figure things out. So it might be better in the long run if they spend some time apart after these episodes so that Adachi can figure out how he wants to respond, because Adachi just needs some time to think. And I think Kurosawa hopefully will get the idea that he needs some time and doesn't like press him too hard. Because I think if he pushes him too hard, he's not going to get a genuine answer from Adachi. He's going to get a panicked answer, and then Adachi's going to regret it, and Kurosawa is going to be heartbroken, and that's the last thing that I want. But good thing Rokkaku is there to buffer and keep things from getting out of hand. So yeah, then we have the whole situation of Rokkaku misses his train, so where's he going to stay? And that's our question, and we have to figure that out. So I was so, the BL shipper in me was like, I wanted Adachi and Kurosawa to be in the same bed together. I was like, oh, and then there's one bed. But in the same vein, Adachi's not ready for that. Kurosawa would not be able to restrain himself. But then I was like, I don't want Rokkaku and Adachi to be in the same bed, because even though it would be harmless, nothing would happen. Kurosawa would get super jealous and it would probably just spurn him in an even further direction more forcefully than he needs to be. So my mind was like so focused in the drama between them picking that I was like, wait a minute, just have Kurosawa and Rokkaku sleep in the same bed and let Adachi be by himself. And then all the problems are solved. Because Rokkaku didn't care. He ended up throwing his arms over Kurosawa anyway. So yeah, problem solved. I love when it just shows Kurosawa planking, that he's just like, I can't have anything nice, can I? And I'm like, not in this series, because we're only on episode 5. But yeah. So Adachi's been thinking about Kurosawa, and what's interesting is they do kind of the same thing with Fujisaki as Kurosawa from earlier in the season, where she comes up from behind him, but she doesn't put her hand over his hand with the mouse. She just comes up and is like, yeah, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. And she picks up on the cue that I'm sure everybody in the office is picking up on, in that Adachi is being stalked by Kurosawa, who loves him. She's figured it out. She's one of us. She's like, so much love for Adachi-san. She's like, oh, good. So yeah, the thing about it is she realizes that Kurosawa loves Adachi. Now, the problem is I think Kurosawa is afraid that Adachi is going to like her and want to be with her, and that's going to break his heart. And I don't want his heart to be broken. I really don't. But then she's like, Kurosawa-san has so much love for Adachi. All I did was get close, and he was staring so hard. And then she's like, tonight, someone will have to be punished. And I'm like, she's imagining all the things that we are. I'm like, girl is one of us. I love that we got that. She's like, are they living together? I love that it powers her through the afternoon. She's like, I have so much energy from this office romance. She's like, I just can't stand it. I'm like, girl, same here. She's like a full-blown Fujoshi. Meanwhile, this old man is like, son of a bitch. He's like, well, apparently Fujisaki-san likes me. And he's like, maybe I'm wrong. He is. But then he accidentally, he doesn't keep his finger on her shoulder long enough to get all the information. Because she says, Adachi is my type that I would ship with Kurosawa-san. And it's like, And then he's like, surely not. And he's like, the unstyled black hair and pale skin are my ideal type of character. I'd like to 3D print someday. I'm like, oh my God, girl. And she imagines like the scene. She's like, I want to absolutely ruin him. I'm like, oh girl. I just hate that Adachi is now like, oh God, what do we do? And he's like, oh, Fujisaki-san likes me. I'm so nervous. Like when I hear Kurosawa's thoughts. And then he's like, no one has liked me before. Maybe it's not that I fell in love with Kurosawa, but I'm just happy that somebody likes me. I think that he likes Kurosawa. I think he genuinely does. But if he's going to give Kurosawa a legitimate answer to his confession, then he needs to figure that out so he doesn't break Kurosawa's heart. So he needs to figure out if he is just after affection or if he actually loves him. And man, and Kurosawa just being like, look, I love that he confesses to him. He's like, look, I love you, not as a colleague or a friend. I'd hoped that no one else would notice that. But I wonder if, because he talks about all the great things about Adachi, and he's like, I kind of didn't want anybody to notice all these good things about you because I wanted to be the one to catch your eye. So I think now he's afraid that Fujisaki likes him too. And then he talks about the time that he helped him, and he's like, it really mattered to me. Knowing someone saw who I was such a relief. He's like, I felt like it touched my heart. It was the first time I fell in love first. And so he's like, I love that he's like, I'm going to give you time to think about it. He's like, I'm going to go back to my place. I'll give you time to think about what you want to say. And I'm glad Adachi didn't immediately come back and respond because he is scared and he needs to figure it out. He's like, was I moved by Kurosawa's affection or do I actually like him? And I'm like, you need to figure that out, sir, because that's rather important to know. You need to know that. And next week is the halfway point, so I'm so glad that Kurosawa finally confessed because now those feelings are out in the open and it's not a matter of him telepathically reading his mind. Again, does Kurosawa have the ability to read Adachi's mind? I don't know. I don't think so, but if he could, it's like, and he thinks that he's wavering, but if he does know, is he going to be wavering to think like, did he confess now because he's afraid that Adachi's going to confess with food? I feel like Kurosawa confessed to Adachi because he was afraid that Adachi might be getting a crush on Fujisaki, so he's trying to beat her to the point. But joke's on both of them. She's not in love with them, so either of them. So it's like, these bakas. You guys better not break my heart. Don't do that. Don't break my heart, show. Don't do that. Don't do that, please. Please don't do that. So, I guess we'll find out. Anyway, I'm excited to hear your comments down below. I'm glad that Kurosawa confessed, but now I'm horrified Adachi's gonna screw this up. So maybe Suge or somebody can keep him from doing that. But Suge doesn't give a good advice, so I don't know. It's gonna be hard waiting to episode 6. But anyway, apparently the dub is good. Apparently the dub of this has come out, and so I might just have to watch some of the dub episodes whilst I wait to watch episode 6, but oh my god. I've gotten the tense BL anxiety, y'all. It's settled in the pit of my stomach. What do we do? Anyway, I guess we'll find out next week at least what's going to happen next. So, in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and I'll be back really soon with episode 6 of Cherry Magic. Bye!